Okay.
Hello.
Hi.
Good morning.
Good morning.
Welcome
To
the
the
shmoozing. So we have my brother. It's our brother.
And nice to know I've been included
Yeah.
in the family.
Yeah.
Thank you. Thank you.
Awesome. Sisters.
Yony Fine, who is going to continue
Mhm.
talking to us about communication. And we're just going to do a short recap. We did the first stage of effective communication with you. And if you want to say like just a few words about that and then go to the rest of the method that you developed.
And first of all, thank you so much for coming back and giving of your time and your wisdom and your experiences. I'm benefiting from it. Yael's benefiting from it. And all the millions of people who are watching are also benefiting. So thank you, thank you, thank you. Go for it.
I'm happy to hear that. And I also want to appreciate the time you're giving me in order to spread the word.
Yeah.
Because for my clinical work, I've noticed that this is nothing short of Atzalat Chaim. What's the
Saving,
word? What?
saving lives.
Saving lives.
Yeah.
Literally. I mean, it sounds because it's sometimes corny, like you actually saving lives. Yes, yes. That otherwise would be destroyed and would end up, usually they end up really bad. This is the schmooze. We don't want to talk about something that turns out bad. We want to talk about stuff that comes out good. We don't schmooze about something else, right? Those are
Right.
the laws of the schmooze. Uphold the laws of the schmooze.
This is going to sound like an evangelical sermon here. My brothers, my sisters, I'm here to save your life.
Uphold the laws of the schmooze. Yeah.
I'm not Black.
So we spoke about the beginning of the 5 stages. So yeah, you said that I don't remember exactly what we spoke about last time, but you said that we just want to recap the first stage, which was, I think, a long one because it needs a lot of explanation to
Yeah.
understand.
So you explained the first stage. Yeah, to the max.
So let's just recap. The first stage is called double preparation. I got to prepare myself. How do I do this? I relax. We spoke about that. I got 3 reasons why does this thing even bother me. Now I have to prepare the other person I want to communicate with. I have to find out if they're in the receiving mode of what it is I want to talk to them about. And if they're at all in the receiving mode, they might not be available at all, not only emotionally, just physically, not available. So I got to make sure. And we did. I think we spoke about it. If not, it's key because I've heard people say I use the 5 stages and it doesn't work. And when I ask them about it, they really did not go through that strategy. Did not even begin to prepare the other person. Just went off. So listen, I got 3 reasons this thing is bothering me. All right, and say the third stage is feelings. So it all is required is a face. So they just do the whole thing under a minute, but they didn't even prepare the other person. The person is already with defense mechanisms, and we spoke about it in length last time. That all we want to do, we want to be very careful not to raise their defense mechanisms. Since they can come about, nothing is going to happen, and we spoke about it. So
Yeah.
that's recapping the first stage. We move on to the second. So let's say the other person, as we say, is ready to listen to us. We did the preparation. And we'll just do a summary of everything together with a quick example at the end. So let's move on to the second stage. Second stage is 1 or 2 sentences. That's it. What are these sentences? Facts only, meaning let's take an example of day-to-day life. I'm going to take, let's say, maybe an imaginary situation where, let's say, there's a teenager and this might sound really ridiculous, but I'm just go ahead and throw it. They might not straighten up their room.
Get out of here. Get out of here.
Yeah. I mean, I'm thinking of other examples, but this one's like, let's try this one out. I don't know if it happens in reality, but let's try. And let's say, you know what? Let's take a better one. They're on the phone all the time.
Mm.
That seems to be a
It
problem.
might
All right,
happen.
that might happen, right?
Yeah.
All right. So I need to have one sentence, and it has to be factual. It cannot be interpretation of any sort. For instance, let's take a different example. I go into a room and I say, "Oh, your room is a mess." Now we got to imagine that there is an attorney, and he jumps every time that is not a fact. There's objection, Your Honor. Mess? Describe a mess. And what turns out to be a mess to you, Mom, is actually very neat for the adolescent. How do we know this? Once you string things out and put everything back into place, the teenager goes wild. Where is my stuff? You messed everything up. So this is interpretation. All right. How about your room is tohu? What does that even mean? I know in Gemara they go in detail that this is high, or very deep religious stuff about tohu. It indicates of something that happened before creation, and like I'm trying to think, how has that got to do with my room? So again, that won't make sense. So how can it make one sentence very factual without igniting those defense mechanisms? So I will walk in and then start this sentence by saying, if I'm not mistaken, I love it. If I'm not mistaken, I saw a few garments or your shoes on the bed, and if I'm not mistaken, I saw the pillow on the and the what do you call it,
Blanket.
on the floor. Okay, that's it. It's like I just want to give a headline of what it is I want to talk about, what it is I want to share. For instance, the phone is problematic. What kind of sentence can I come up here? You're on the phone all the time? Objection, Your Honor. What? I saw him without the phone like 24 seconds. So that's not going to work. It's not most of the time. That's relative. What does that even mean? Most of the time. Like, is there 51% of the time? 52% of the time? Most 50.0009. So what do we know? So we can just say a sentence which is factual. It's like, if I'm not mistaken, most of the time that I see you, you're on the phone. All right. Another example, I called my daughter and she didn't reply to me. I called her again. She just ignored me and walked into the room. I didn't like that. So I wanted to use the 5 stages. So I thought about that sentence. What can I say? Can I say, I called you and you ignored me? What do you say?
No,
Is that a fact?
you didn't answer as a fact.
Boom.
Or she didn't hear you.
Did she answer? I called you and you didn't answer me. Is that true?
Maybe I didn't
Be
hear
very
you. I didn't
precise,
hear
Steve.
you answering me.
Boom. That's so critical to understand, because if I say something that is not accurate, I'm gonna raise the defense mechanisms and I'm done. It's got to be very, very accurate. All right. Another example to this, so can we move on?
This we can move on.
Okay. Third stage is a face. It's just your feelings in one face. Just make a face. I felt, and I was, yeah, and I felt, yes, yes, yes. To do any face, but if you want to add just a little sound to it, I would be cautious. I don't know who I'm talking to, and I might again raise those defense mechanisms. But I do want to make a face. Why is it a face and not a sentence? Because nobody understands what you're talking about. If I say I was very, very frustrated, but the day before I said I was very, very, very frustrated, so I'm thinking, oh, Just two varies, so I guess it's less than yesterday, right? And frustrated, what does that mean? I mean, the kid gets frustrated from certain things in his life. For instance, somebody didn't give him his toy back, so he gets frustrated. So, mom, you're saying you're frustrated, so somebody didn't give you your toy back? We don't understand what that means. But if you go with a face, it's universal. You can go to Alaska, you can go to Cambodia, you can go to Taiwan and go like this. Everybody understands that you're right now having a negative emotion. Everybody understands that. And I worked in a clinic with a parent that told me that he has a problem with facial expressions. And he says, so what do you mean? So I can't show them like I was angry. So it didn't make sense to me. I said, well, imagine somebody really, really ticked you off right now. Show me a face. So he really showed me a face that I didn't understand what that meant. It turns out that it really has some sort of a problem with its facial expression. He did angry, something like, doesn't look angry to me. So I said, even better, because once you make a face that the other person doesn't understand, he'll be curious to understand what this face is all about. So even better, not a problem, but try to be accurate. And the reason is because I want to talk in a very normal tone, as I do at the beginning. I say, when I prepare him, I say, I don't want to offend you. This is not the reason I want to share something with you. I love you. And in no means do I want you to feel bad and unpleasant. And if you do, and I continue talking now, I'm not going to use words. I'm just going to listen to the tone of my voice. Yesterday, if I'm not mistaken, and I've had, and they're in it. You see what happened? It's like he can notice that this anger and this face is from the past. I'm not angry now. You see how I'm talking? And I've been, you see what I'm saying? So the tone of my voice indicates to the person that I'm talking to that I'm not angry now. I'm just showing you what it did to me. And it's important that he knows my feelings because we are integrated. We want to know each other better. We want to have a deeper connection. So you ought to know what it does to me. Okay. And a lot of times, either couples get surprised from their spouse's reaction to certain things. And so, wow, I didn't know. I just didn't know that you felt so about that. Because I don't about that, but you do. And your reasons behind it make sense to me. Wow. Because all those are the reasons, remember? Okay. So recap, the third stage is called emotions. And the way we do it is with a face. All right. So and how do I use it in context? I said, when I saw your, whatever I described in your room, when I called you and I didn't hear you listening, I felt, I didn't hear you reply. I felt, okay, when I walked through your room, if I'm not mistaken, I saw a few garments on the floor. So I felt, okay, whatever the face is, that's the way it's used. Moving on to the fourth stage, which is my interpretation. This is the time where I explain my face. Okay, I felt like this because, and this is where I use the three reasons that I got already at the beginning of the stages. Okay, so let's do this real quick. I'm gonna take a piece of paper. That's usually what I do when I want to share something with somebody I want to have a good connection with, and it's also a positive or a negative behavior. All right, I want to use them both. So I want to take a piece of paper and write down to me, why is it important to me, and why does it bother me when I see my adolescents or my kid with the phone most of the time? All right, so together with you, let's come up with three logical reasons. And I think there's so many reasons, but let's come up with three because the whole idea of the 5 stages, the whole communication takes less than a minute. So we don't have, this is not the time for lectures and all that stuff. So let's get 3 good reasons. Why would it bother a parent that he sees this kid on the phone most of the time?
Because he's being passive.
What does
Not,
that mean? So,
not moving his body, not being, not exercising.
so we'll be worried about him not exercising?
Yeah,
What would happen if he doesn't exercise?
well, his body is gonna be less healthy and powerful and
We'll see. So I'll just write down about maybe the body becomes less immune,
yeah.
less
And
immune.
we
What?
know also, I mean, what I know is like being on the phone a lot, it contributes to your ADHD, to the attention disorder. It's very hard for you then to, because it has so many fast stimuli that comes at you. So then you're used to that, and anything that takes, you need to concentrate for more than 30 seconds becomes really rough.
Oh, I want to write that down.
I think also the content of what they're watching and what they're listening to. It's not always, but if
It's not always positive or age appropriate or
culture appropriate.
yeah.
Okay, I just finished the second one. The first one, I still have, I need a little bit more about, let's say the body becomes less immune. If I'm on the phone most of the time, so I'm not getting exercise, I'm not active.
Right.
Therefore, I'm, as a mother, is concerned that if my daughter or my son is not active enough, so it might contribute to the fact that the body becomes less immune to diseases. And right or no, I don't know.
Powerful, people become like weak.
So what is that?
Their muscles are not working. They're not.
So what's the problem? I mean, if I'm a teenager, I don't care about weak muscles as long as I got my
Yeah.
computer in front of me. But what's the what's our fear? What's our what are we
Addiction, what Tova said, addiction.
but before that, we spoke about the body,
Yeah.
right? So I'm just like trying to.
Because when somebody doesn't move their body enough, then they can be even less happy, because their whole level of life,
like all their
life
happiness.
force, life force
Can atrophy.
it has to do with moving around. You see little kids, they move around a lot.
So I can write it in like different ways. I can write about physical movement and mobility contributes to a healthy life and a healthy body. And I don't know what age, but sometimes maybe sometimes we need to say this in the opposite way. So if your body does not get the mobility it needs, it might be susceptible to diseases. Right. So you see what I'm saying? Because if the body is not healthy, so obviously it's going to be ill, and the immune system is not going to work that great, and therefore welcoming all kinds of infections and whatnot. I don't know. Like sometimes I will just like to stay positive and say how beautiful it could be if you give yourself a chance and your body, the air it needs and the mobility. But sometimes I will use that. Just noting that. Okay?
What really bothers me is like when somebody's on the phone, you're disconnecting from a communication with real people that are around them.
Why is that important to you? That this person on the phone.
Because I want to have a good connection with my kids.
There we go.
Good one. איזה חפירה, wow. You're like a archaeologist, you're digging deep.
I want to have a good relationship.
We got very deep. But
so there's
I
more.
want to ask you something though, because like in that minute where my kid is on the phone or on the computer and ignore me, I don't really
Well,
care.
one second, Tova. Let me just write it down here so I don't forget. I want a good relationship with my kids and open conversation and
Ooh.
and talking is the way to get there, right?
Yeah.
Open conversation, trips, mutual activity, doing things together is the way to get to a good connection. Unless there's a way to do it like through the phone. All right, Tova, I'm sorry. Yes.
I in that moment when my kid is on the phone or on the computer or whatever, all these reasons might be nice, but I don't really care about them. I want their attention. I want, and these are nice, like when you get down to it and when you dig deep, you can extract those reasons. But in that moment, I want attention and I want him to or her to do something that's not being done. And I think that sometimes we get frustrated with people that are doing things that we're doing. You know, like I can tell my kids, get off the phone,
But
get off the computer. But what am I doing? I'm doing the same thing.
That's
When
why
they
we
come to me and say, oh, Ima, you know, blah, 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 this one happened in school. And I'm with my phone. I have to make a conscious effort to put down my phone. And there's nobody saying to me, Tova or Ima, we want a good relationship with you. You know, that I'm thinking about what you're saying and what's going on here. And the real conversation is, how do I feel about this as a parent? Does their behavior threaten my parenting skills, me as an authoritative figure? I'm thinking about that, and it's just like, do I really care if the room is a mess? I care because it looks bad on me. I care because my house looks bad. You want to live in a pigsty? That's your problem. But like, why does it bother me? Really? Because it affects me on some level.
that's okay as well. You're a part of of the house, you know.
yes.
You can share that reason. You can share and say, I want to have a nice clean house.
I like order. I like the freshness of the smell of whatever it is I'm using. That's only one reason. We have to come up with two more, but yes. Yes. Oh, well, what's this? Okay. But definitely yes. And we spoke about it I think in length the last time about that if it's not an emergency, so I don't have to communicate my negative emotion right now. Even better not to do it and wait for a good time to present it to them. For instance, like I have a son who loves the phone. Sounds crazy, right? He loves it. He just loves the phone. And and I called him by his name a few times, like 5, 6, 7, 10 times. I'm like, whoa, it's like there's a blank going on. So I noticed I got to talk to him about that. I want to share. I don't want to talk to him about it. I want to share exactly why would this bother me? Because I know it bothers me big time. I know that there's things I just got to come up with them. And when I came up with him and I explained that to him, he was shocked. Like all of this because I didn't answer you like 5, 6 times. Like, yeah, it really got me to a point where I was so concerned. And then let me explain it to you. And then when I did, it was like, oh, that does make sense.
Okay,
Okay.
I like that clarifying point because it's not always about them.
Okay.
It's always, it can be about
It can
me,
be about me.
and
as
and that's
well.
okay.
Of course. Of course.
Yeah.
I mean, and it is going to look bad on me. It's not going to look bad at them. Right. Right. I mean,
Yeah.
it's like, oh my God, your house looks like, I guess your kids are not cleaning around here. Nobody says that. Nobody says that. It's like, what's wrong with you?
Right, right. It's like
All right. So we
okay,
got
so
to-
let's say we have our 3 reasons.
Right.
now.
okay.
Yep.
So we're at stage 4.
Right.
And stage 3, we made the face, the facial expression. Now we're explaining. All right. So let's just, before we go to 4, let me jump up to 5 because at 5, there's going to be a request. Stage 5 is a request. Usually I don't even use stage 5. But if I am going to ask for a request, it has to be something I am sure that the other person I'm asking from can actually do it at ease. It's something that you can actually do with ease. It's not that complicated. Has to be. Just as anybody offers you a car insurance, they're never going to ask you 10 years up front. They will just do it, 12 payments throughout the whole year. It's something that you can work yourself with around. So what would we ask from our teenager that we see him mostly on the phone? What can we ask from them? For instance, I worked with a family. Yesterday I was in a Rehovot, and I had a adolescents and parents evening, and we took that example. And the mother asked from her son that during dinner, she requested that he can put the phone down so we can talk. That was the request. So I loved it. But there can be all kinds of requests. So let's say if we got to the point where Tova, you said that it might have all kinds of different content that we're concerned about, so we can perhaps ask about that for them to do something to prevent that. Or if it's about movement, and that's what, their mobility and they're not moving concerns us. So maybe we want to request from them once a week. Maybe they can join us in the sport. I don't know. It can be any request, but it has to be something we're sure that could be possible. For instance, we're not going to say everything beautifully about the room. It says, if I'm not mistaken, I went past your room and I saw a few garments on the floor. When I saw that, I felt, and the reason for it is because I love order and neatness. It just does something good to my brain. And I know it's going to do good to you too, because there's also ways that it'll prevent you to go screaming in the room, where is my this and where is my that? Because you'll find it, right? And I'm sure you don't do this on purpose, because tidying up your room is boring. I understand it. I grew up as well as a kid and never did it myself. And therefore, I want to ask you, from this point on, every time I walk through the door, through your room has to be 100% clean. You see what I did there? I just messed up everything. So what? It has to be something. It's like I would ask you to pay attention to it. I would ask you perhaps if you can put your shoes over here. I can perhaps ask you to do something that I know for sure it'd be possible, because I've seen parents say that again and again and again. This is the last time I'm going to go through your room and see it. Well, you better go blindfolded then.
What was stage 4? Did we do stage
Okay.
4? Stage 4
Stage
was
four.
The interpretation of the face.
Stage 4.
3 reasons. The 3 reasons. And the last thing is the request.
Yes.
Like when you, it's like it sounds like you're like a stage of tshuva. Like when you do tshuva, there's all these stages, and one of the last stages is
Yeah.
Mhm.
You accept something for the future.
Yeah, like
you want
I
to
ask him if it's possible.
make
for him.
amends.
Yes. So I just demonstrated the 4th step, but just let me recap. I took the 3 reasons, okay, and I added what I call in the book the golden sentence. The word in Hebrew is ani batuach she'ata lo mitkaven leze. In English, I'm sure that was not your intention. Now I'm going to explain what that means, and I just want to share with you that specific sentence, I got a lot of feedback from people I work with that told me that they saw what it did to the person they were communicating with, because we were talking about a negative thing that they did. So it looked like their air is like coming, just becoming, and when you say that word, I'm sure it had no intention. You didn't mean it. I, as a kid, did it a million times and like, and then they're ready for your request. Okay. I'm just saying this is like almost 36 years of research coming into this. And it's working together with kids and parents for over 36 years. There's a lot of time to come up with this, to figure these things out in order not to trigger the defense mechanisms and to raise by hundreds of percent the possibility for cooperation. Yet they do have bchira, right? They can choose still not to do whatever you want. We take that into consideration. This is not a method to, cause a person to think, do, or speak as you, or to obey commands. That's not what it's all about. It's on the contrary. It's for better a connection. The more I use this on negative behavior, my connection becomes even stronger. It's crazy. I mean, when I say to a person that I love him because it did something good, it connects between us. But when I say that in this method, I tell him that I love you, there's nothing wrong with you. Your behavior's got nothing to do with you. We're talking about a specific behavior. I love you regardless. You can continue doing this messy room. You can even make it even more messier. That's never going to tamper with the love that I have for you. You need to understand that. Yet, this behavior aggravates me.
I love that. I love that.
Okay.
I love that. And it empowers both you and the person that you're talking with. I love that. I just love that. And on that note, I think
We're gonna
we
do
are out of time.
Yeah.
So Yony, thank you so
Thank
much.
you so much for
This
being on our show.
Yeah, this has
and
been
for-
very illuminating
Yeah,
and transformational. I hope I can use it, and I hope I will use it properly, and I hope everybody will use it. I hope, because today, we have so many communication devices, we don't communicate properly. And this method is just so brilliant, so empowering, and so powerful and special. So thank you, Yony, for
thank
coming on
you
our
so
show.
much.
Thank you again for giving me this plateau, and hopefully there's gonna be a lot to schmooze about. That's the way of communicating, right? Nobody schmoozes no more. Everybody's on the phone schmoozing. Nah, schmoozing has to be face to face
Yeah.
Or on Zoom.
on Zoom.
Okay, bye.
Bye bye.